Once upon a time, in a land far away, there lived a beautiful girl named Cinderella. She was kind and gentle, with a heart full of love and compassion, but her life was far from perfect. Her father had passed away, leaving her alone with her wicked stepmother and two stepsisters who were jealous of her beauty and kindness. They forced her to work as a servant in her own home, doing all the chores and serving their every whim. Cinderella longed for a better life, but she could never have imagined the terror that awaited her. One dark and stormy night, as Cinderella was sweeping the floors, a bolt of lightning struck the roof, setting it on fire. Her stepmother and stepsisters fled the burning house, leaving her behind to perish in the flames. Cinderella cried out for help, but no one came to her rescue. Just as she was about to give up hope, a mysterious figure appeared before her. It was a woman with dark hair and piercing blue eyes, dressed in a flowing black gown.
Who are you?
Cinderella asked, trembling with fear.
I am the Witch of the Woods,
The woman replied.
and I have come to offer you a way out of this misery.
Cinderella was desperate for a way out, so she agreed to the witch's offer. The witch promised her a new life, free from the pain and suffering she had endured. But there was a catch. Cinderella would have to give up her soul in exchange for this new life. Cinderella was hesitant at first, but the witch was persuasive, and she eventually gave in to the temptation. The witch gave her a beautiful gown and glass slippers and told her to attend the ball at the castle. There, she would meet a handsome prince who would fall in love with her and take her away from her miserable life. Cinderella went to the ball, and as the witch had promised, the prince was captivated by her beauty. They danced and laughed, and for a brief moment, Cinderella felt true happiness. But as the clock struck midnight, she knew she had to leave before the prince discovered her true identity. She fled the castle, leaving behind a glass slipper as a memento. The next day, the prince set out to find the woman who had stolen his heart. He visited every house in the kingdom, searching for the owner of the glass slipper. When he arrived at Cinderella's home, her stepsisters tried to convince him that the slipper belonged to one of them. But the prince knew the truth, and he insisted on trying the slipper on Cinderella's foot. To everyone's surprise, the slipper fit perfectly, and the prince knew he had found his true love. He took Cinderella away with him to his castle, and they were married soon after. But little did he know that he had brought a curse upon his kingdom. As soon as Cinderella arrived at the castle, strange things began to happen. People started to disappear, and the ones who remained became pale and sickly. The prince himself began to change, becoming cold and distant towards Cinderella. She soon realized that the witch had cursed the kingdom, and she was the cause of all the suffering. Cinderella tried to undo the curse, but it was too late. The witch had taken her soul, and she was now under the witch's control. She had to do her bidding, or she would suffer a fate worse than death. The witch demanded sacrifices, and Cinderella had to deliver them. One night, the prince discovered the truth about Cinderella's curse. He confronted her, and they had a terrible fight. Cinderella realized that she had to do something to break the curse, and Cinderella decided to seek out the Witch of the Woods to try and break the curse. She knew it would be a dangerous journey, but it was her only hope. She snuck out of the castle in the dead of night and made her way to the dark forest. As she walked deeper into the woods, she began to feel a sense of dread. She heard strange whispers and cackling laughter, and she knew that she was not alone. Suddenly, she came face to face with the witch.
I have come to break the curse,
Cinderella said, her voice shaking with fear. The witch just laughed.
You think you can break my curse? You have no power over me.
Cinderella refused to give up. She knew that she had to try. She begged the witch to release her soul and break the curse on the kingdom. The witch agreed to release her soul, but only if Cinderella would give her something in return.
What do you want?
Cinderella asked, fearing the worst.
I want your husband.
The witch said, a wicked smile on her face.
I want the prince as my own. In exchange, I will break the curse.
Cinderella was horrified. She could not bear the thought of losing the prince. But she knew that she had no other choice. She agreed to the witch's terms and returned to the castle to tell the prince the terrible news. The prince was devastated. He could not believe that Cinderella would sacrifice their love to break the curse. He confronted her, and they had a terrible fight. Cinderella knew that she had to do something to make things right. She returned to the Witch of the Woods and made a new deal. She offered the witch her own life in exchange for breaking the curse. The witch agreed, and Cinderella gave up her life to break the curse on the kingdom. The curse was broken, and the kingdom was saved. But at what cost? The prince was left alone, mourning the loss of his beloved Cinderella. The kingdom was forever changed, and the people never forgot the horror that had been unleashed upon them. From that day on, the story of Cinderella became a cautionary tale. A warning to those who were tempted by the promises of dark magic. The people of the kingdom learned to live without magic, and they never forgot the sacrifice that Cinderella had made to save them all.